Welcome to Management Live, World Business Forum Mexico 2014, the world's most cutting-edge management event packed into a TV show designed to change your perspective on business. Once again, more than 4,000 executives have gathered for 2 days to listen, discuss, and learn firsthand from the most prestigious minds and the most successful doers in business. A key to success in this new era is to become an expert on the trends that are reshaping every industry and learn how to take advantage of any opportunity to create better businesses and a better world. Challenge your assumptions. Embrace the next big thing. For our first conference presentation, let's invite on stage Richard Branson, one of the most prestigious CEOs in history. Entrepreneur, passionate, and an excellent leader who knows how to create meaningful brands and unleash everyone's talent. His energy and willingness for adventure has led him to create Virgin, an empire of more than 400 companies. Let's hear his amazing insights on how to stay on the top.
What is a company? A company is a group of people, and that really is all a company is. And so if you're going to have a group of people together, they must be happy people. And if they're going to be happy people, they've got to be led by somebody who is happy themselves, who loves people, who cares generally about people, and who looks for the best in people, who is somebody who doesn't criticize, but who praises and brings out the best in people. So we look for people who are, are great leaders of people because they genuinely care about people, and I think we're lucky at Virgin. That's the kind of people we've got. Now, if a company brings in somebody into a company that's not that kind of person, they can destroy a company very quickly. If you destroy the morale in a company, it's very, very difficult to get that morale back. And so we try generally to promote from within our companies, so we know people's strengths and weaknesses before we promote them. We do sometimes bring people in from outside, and we try very hard to make sure that they're the kinds of people that we'll get on with. I'll give you one example.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was interviewing somebody who was coming to my country from the overseas. There were 6 people coming for a job. I knew what time they were arriving at the airport. So I dressed up as a very old taxi driver, and I had a whole new face put on. And I went to the airport, and I acted like I was 90 years old, and I had a stick in one hand. And as they came out of the airport, if they asked me to carry their heavy bag, they didn't get the job. But the ones that actually carried their own bags and helped me into the car, they were the ones that got the job at Virgin.
Wow, that was an interesting story on how to select the best talent. Coming next on stage, she's the director of the Center for Green Schools, an organization dedicated to revolutionize education by developing schools with more sustainable buildings, programs, and teaching. Her goal is to help the new generation, which she calls the sustainable natives, to become the leaders of the future. Let's welcome on stage Rachel Gutter.
What if a classroom could do more than simply function as a container? 4 walls, 1 floor, 1 ceiling for education. What if a classroom itself could actually play a role in teaching the students within it? Teach them about the world that they live in, the animals and plants in their local habitats, the way that they use energy and water, opportunities to conserve waste. What if a classroom looked like this? What if a classroom was a doorway to engage an entire community, connecting students, teachers, and parents to one another to learn about things relevant to their own world in a hands-on environment? Take a moment and imagine what a classroom could accomplish if we freed it from the constraints and assumptions of the past and thought of a classroom instead as something that could do more than simply support education, but actually enhance the educational experience. Now, what if every student had opportunities like this? This is experiential learning at its best. Learning by doing, with real-world challenges through a multidisciplinary project-based approach, where students learn about design, engineering, communications, business, social skills. This is what 21st century learning looks like, and these experiences allow our students to acquire the skills that they need to tackle the challenges of the 21st century. The footage that you're watching here are from students from Cornell University who worked with a community in South Africa to build a school from the ground up. A school that needs no electricity to perform efficiently and provides an award-winning learning environment. This project, part of their own education, resulted in immediate employment after graduation for nearly every student who works on the project, and in fact, I myself hired 2 of them. They helped me to create this presentation today. We know that today's learners think, act, and learn differently. I heard something really wonderful recently that Michael J. Fox, the actor, said. He said, if students can't learn the way that we teach, maybe we should teach them the way that they learn. Why are we trying to educate 21st century learners with 18th century habits? We've all seen images like this. Students, toddlers, even infants using iPods and iPhones as we once played with building blocks. Digital natives, as Mark Prensky likes to call them, digital natives, today's children, basically come out of the womb knowing how to operate an iPad. They use tablets in their everyday existence. They are born into a world of technology, and it becomes a part of their DNA. And yet, we still ask them to learn the way that we did. Well, everything points toward the fact that they're learning and living differently. To me, this suggests that we have a new kind of learner on our hands, that we need to create new pathways for his education. This generation has a world of information at their fingertips, literally, and they know how to access it better and faster than we do. So shouldn't we teach skills rather than information? Skills to apply that knowledge into real-life settings. We keep asking our children to learn the way that we did, but we're growing up in a world that doesn't look like it did when we were sitting in grammar class. This is what a computer looked like when I was in elementary school. Computers were certainly not part of my early education, and tablets hadn't even been invented yet. Today, we are calling upon industry and business leaders. We're calling upon you to educate a new type of learner, a new type of citizen, a new type of leader. Borrowing from Mark Prensky's sustainability, digital natives, we call this new generation of students sustainability natives. So I want to ask you, what would it look like to cultivate a generation of sustainability natives? Students who are fluent in the language of green, who intuitively make decisions to use what they need as opposed to what they can. Sustainability natives believe in the power of the triple bottom line. They believe that great things always happen when you shoot for the intersection of people, planet, and prosperity. This is not your free pass to ignore these issues. Just because we're gearing up to raise a generation of sustainability natives who are capable of solving these tremendous challenges that we are going to leave behind doesn't give us a free pass. What it means is that we all need to be called to action and support their education, support a different kind of education for a different kind of student. What does it look like to grow this generation? It requires a transformation of the way that we teach, of what we teach, of how we teach, and where we teach it. And transformation is by its very nature disruptive.
Let's hope any school can become a green school and that our children are educated with great values on how to create a better world. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after these messages with more incredible business trends. Welcome back to Management Live. For our next presentation, let's invite to the stage a young entrepreneur whose passion about innovation and technology has led him to found his own successful company at the age of 17, IOS. A fervent believer that the key to success is to take your ideas into action and then keep innovating continuously, let's welcome to the stage Pau Garcia-Mila.
Cuando pienso en innovación, la primera pregunta que me viene a la cabeza es ¿cómo la defino? ¿Ustedes cómo definirían la innovación? Bien, hay 1000 maneras distintas de definir innovación. Una de las que más me gusta dice que es pasar de un estado donde esperamos a que el tiempo pase a provocar el paso del tiempo. Me gusta esta definición porque tiene la palabra provocar y esto se llama provocadores, así que la he puesto. Sin embargo, esta definición a mí me pone nervioso porque si miramos la historia veremos que ha sido peligroso últimamente provocar el paso del tiempo. Por ejemplo, si yo les hablo de la industria de la música y viajamos a 1980, imagínense que son empresarios de la industria musical. En ese año las ventas se dividían 80% en vinilo, 20% en cassette. Ustedes, todos y yo, nos hubiéramos dedicado a invertir en el vinilo, porque era lo que movía al mundo. Era provocar el paso del tiempo. Vamos a mejorar el vinilo, vamos a hacer vinilo que aguante más audio, que no se raye. Sin embargo, los empresarios, los hombres de negocio que pensaron en que el vinilo era el futuro, en el 80, en 1990, se habían arruinado. Porque el cassette había aparecido como la gran revolución. Así que empezaron a pensar cómo tenía que ser el cassette del futuro, que se rebobinara solo. Sin embargo, había aparecido otro personaje en este sector, que era el CD. Muchos decían, bueno, pero el cassette, si se fijan, tiene un poco más de la mitad del mercado. El CD se estancará porque todos los coches, todos los autos tienen lector de cassette y ninguno tiene CD. Esto está arruinado. Estos empresarios que pensaron en así, 10 años más tarde, se habían arruinado, porque el CD ocupaba el 97% del mercado. Así que durante muchos años siguieron siendo los reyes de la industria del audio y de la música. No tenían ninguna preocupación por innovar, porque el CD estaba ahí para quedarse. ¿Cómo iba a morir el CD si todos los ordenadores, todos los coches tenían lector de CD? Cada persona en su vida tenía 4, 5, 6 reproductores de CD. No tenía por qué cambiar. No voy a avanzar 10 años, avanzaré solamente 5 años, porque en 2005 el CD seguía dominando, el cassette y el vinilo habían muerto completamente, pero empezaron a aparecer una nueva industria. Los tonos del celular, 2%, las descargas, iTunes, descargas legales, 3%. ¿Ustedes qué habrían hecho? Pues si miramos la evolución, lo que podría ser la definición de innovación, si queremos provocar el paso del tiempo, vamos a aprender de los errores del pasado, vamos a dedicarnos a esto que ocupa un poco espacio. Pues bien, efectivamente, el año pasado la industria se dividía así. Las descargas tenían el 62%, los tonos de celular el 9% y el CD se había reducido al 27%. Así que seguro, Pau, la definición de innovación es provocar el paso del tiempo donde muy poca gente está. Ya te puedes ir. Depende. ¿Se fijan ustedes que abajo a la derecha hay algo que empieza a aparecer en verde pequeñito? El año pasado, el 2% de las ventas de la industria fue algo nuevo. Sea lo que sea, tenemos que dedicar todo nuestro esfuerzo a eso. Tenemos que irnos del World Business Forum y empezar a invertir dinero en eso porque la historia nos dice que ocupará el mercado en pocos años. Señoras y señores, en 2013 la industria de la música tuvo 98% de cosas racionales y 2% de ventas en vinilo. Yo tampoco lo entiendo, pero por ahí es la definición oficial de la RIA, yo lo aplico. 2% de las ventas musicales del año pasado fueron en vinilo. La nostalgia de mi padre es un vinilo, pero por ahí el 2% es unos cuantos nostálgicos. La definición de innovación nos dice que deberíamos todos dedicarnos al vinilo. Yo no se lo recomiendo. Es peligroso a veces copiar cómo se ha innovado en el pasado. Otra innovación podría ser, dejemos el contenido como ha sido toda la vida y cambiemos el continente. Hablemos a la gente con el tono que está acostumbrado a que le hablen sus amigos. Esto es lo que pensó el gobierno de los Estados Unidos. Después de 150 años de publicar informes absolutamente aburridos, informes de 40 páginas llenos de texto que nadie se lee, hace 17 días publicaron un informe que se dedicaba a los millennials, los jóvenes de 20 a 30 años, contando la situación, contando, en algún momento, informes duros. contando que había más delincuencia en ciertos sectores, contando que había más dropouts, más gente que se iba de los estudios. Sin embargo, ¿su objetivo cuál era? Que la gente lo descargara. ¿Qué problema tenían? Que los últimos informes de la juventud en Estados Unidos habían tenido 1000 descargas. En un país de 400 millones, no entiendo yo esto como un éxito. Así que la Casa Blanca se preguntó, olvidemos todo lo que sabemos de publicar informes y miremos qué tipo de informes se descarga a la gente joven. Así que hicieron un informe distinto. Hicieron un informe que, si ustedes imaginaran este informe como sucedió, sería como mirar la bola del mundo de esta manera. Mirarla al revés. Tiene sentido, pero no estamos acostumbrados a verla. El informe de los Estados Unidos fue directo a la gente que buscaban. Fue un informe que se podía entender como una infografía. La gente joven le agradó a su vista un informe parecido a lo que ellos recibían. Sin embargo, ¿ven lo que hay debajo del informe en el centro? Es imposible pensar que hay un emoticono de WhatsApp en un informe oficial de la Casa Blanca, ¿verdad? Es cierto, no hay un emoticono de WhatsApp. Hay 49 emoticonos de WhatsApp en un informe dirigido a que la gente joven entienda los retos a los que se enfrentan en Estados Unidos. Un informe igual de oficial que todos los informes de seguridad, de salud, de educación, pero hecho con un lenguaje que nunca antes se había usado. Contaron cuando lo publicaron que el día antes hubieron presiones para que esto no saliera a la luz. Bien, 24 horas después de publicar este informe, están viendo ustedes el informe más descargado de la historia de los Estados Unidos. En 24 horas se había descargado más veces que todos los informes anteriores durante 150 años. Solamente por cambiar el continente y dejar el contenido como todo el mundo lo esperaba. Así que, harto de buscar definiciones de innovación que no me favorecían, que pensaba que tenían pues ciertos problemas que yo no me podía aplicar, intenté crear mi propia definición de innovación. Y es lo que vengo a presentarles a ustedes. Yo creo que la innovación que podemos aplicar todos en nuestras empresas hoy se basa en 3 aspectos, en 3 puntos de una pirámide, que son las ideas, la pasión y la comunicación. Y creo que es tan importante cada una como el resto. Solamente ideas sin pasión y comunicación, tenemos un problema. Tenemos un problema. ¿Saben ustedes cuál es el lugar donde hay más ideas del universo? El cementerio. Porque 9 de cada 10 ideas nunca nacerán, con lo cual el lugar donde hay más ideas por metro cuadrado es un cementerio. Gente que se murió sin contar sus ideas. Cuando añadimos la comunicación, las estamos contando, hacemos que las ideas nazcan. Y si además ponemos pasión, hacemos que tengan muchas más posibilidades de vivir.
That was really inspiring. It's amazing to see how much we can actually do to disrupt any industry we're in. Coming up after these messages, Katrina Burrus on how to choose the perfect leader for your organization. And we're back with more trends, practices, insights, and mind-blowing stories. Now let's invite on stage Katrina Burrus, the founder and CEO of MKB Kansai and Coaching. With more than 17 years of experience in helping global leaders develop their skills, she'll give us her greatest insights on how to choose the best leader for your company and the importance of having global knowledge and networking skills.
So I personally interviewed Peter Brabeck just when he became CEO and just after he became chairman of the company of Nestlé, the biggest wellness nutritious company in the world, with over 325,000 people and only 8,000 at headquarters in Vevey. So I asked them, what do you look for your global leaders? He said, frankly speaking, I cannot imagine a top leader at Nestlé who has not lived in several countries and who does not at least speak 2 or 3 languages. This is a basic requirement. I said, why? He said, you know, Maggi is a product that is all over the world. It's our brand. It's known all over the world. But each Maggi in each country has a different taste. I want my people to understand that, to have lived it. Okay. So I asked the next, which is Greg Sherrill of Tenneco Company. He's the chairman and past CEO. What does he look for his leaders? And he says, we're maybe too American in America, but my European country, my European general manager, who was born in India, grew up in Saudi Arabia, and was educated in the US, is now responsible for the European market. So I said, why? He said, because there's so many small countries with each their political environment, each their economy. You have to understand this and be able to navigate it. So, okay. And he said, it prevents one way of thinking. You get buy-in from all the constituencies. It's not one top-down mentality like some multinationals. They all have the same country and the same nationalities at the top. And everyone has a say, or feels everyone. In fact, I asked people about it, what is the first thing you look when you go into a country? He says, I look at the map. Because if I don't see a country in the map, I know that there's not a good representation amongst their constituencies. Moreover, cultural diversity represents the consumers in the geographical diversity. So, okay, but at a very big World Trade Organization, I thought, well, everyone wants global nomadic leaders, right? These James Bonds. So I asked them at this multinational, it's not a multinational nonprofit organization, how many global nomadic leaders do you want and how many local leaders do you want? And they said to me, we want 50-50. I said, why? Well, we want global nomadic leaders because they'll integrate, negotiate very well because they're sensitive to all these different countries. But we also want a local leader going abroad because they have an incredible network. And our company needs commerce with these people. We need commerce with the local people. And so we want someone that represents. And then a Tunisian in the back says, hey, they wouldn't want me, Tunisian, because I'm half French and I'm half Tunisian and I grew up in Mexico and then in China. They don't see me as a good representative. So there's a place for everybody.
Thank you, Katrina. That was a great speech. Coming up next, the world is changing faster and faster, and the entrepreneurs of this new era are willing to be led by their passions to compete in the big leagues. Juan Enriquez, a recognized entrepreneur and academic, will give us great insights on the importance of networking in this process and the great value that that produces for companies.
Hoy día traemos una estrategia y una lógica completamente distinta, que es esta lógica del emprendedor. Y la lógica del emprendedor es, pues mira, son las 8 de la mañana, tengo ganas de partirle su mamacita a IBM hoy, entonces voy a agarrar a 10 de mis chamacos, a 10 de mis brothers, y vamos a ganarle a Google, vamos a ganarle a IBM, vamos a ganarle a Microsoft, vamos a ganarle a Oracle. Se requiere una ambición, una arrogancia y una habilidad tecnológica muy especial para estar sentado en una universidad, en un cubículo de una universidad, para estar sentado en un garage y decir, voy a cambiar las empresas más grandes del mundo y mi empresa va a ser una de las más grandes del planeta. Entre paréntesis, el día de ayer, el valor de Facebook se volvió más del valor de IBM. De un chamaquito que empezó, pues en su cuarto universitario, haciendo un programito para ver cuáles eran las niñas más guapas. ¿Qué es lo que tenemos que empezar a hacer nosotros en nuestras empresas? Tenemos que empezar a analizar quién hace qué trabajo, quién es emprendedor, quién no es emprendedor. Entonces, en vez de ver las jerarquías como esto, tenemos que empezar a verlas de otra manera. Quiero que le pongan atención a estos dos sujetos. Esta es una compañía petrolera. Entonces, hay un super vicepresidente, hay los vicepresidentes, hay los directores de área, y uno de los directores de área se llama Sutherland, y el otro director de área se llama Mitchell. Y ahí están los dos señores, y entonces en términos de jerarquía, estas dos gentes son iguales. En el análisis tradicional uno diría, si uno es proveedor externo, si uno quiere hacer una sociedad con estos, pues que es exactamente lo mismo ir a tomarse un café o una comida con Sutherland o con Mitchell. Pero cuando uno hace la pregunta, ¿cómo se organiza esta empresa? ¿Quién se comunica con quién? ¿Quién tiene jerarquía que va más allá del puesto? ¿Quién es emprendedor? Esto es cómo se comunica esta empresa. Entonces resulta que Mitchell es el contacto clave entre los jefes y toda la tropa. Y Sutherland está ahí abajo a la izquierda y tiene exactamente un amigo. Es un pobre cero a la izquierda este tipo. Entonces no es la jerarquía la que importa en estas cosas. En un mundo de emprendedores, en un mundo no jerárquico, lo que tenemos que hacer es tener claro el mapita de quién es el emprendedor. Y todos ustedes saben esto, ¿sí? Porque todos ustedes han estado en juntas donde están sentados, es la clásica sala de juntas, hay 10 gentes, hay 15 gentes, hay 20 gentes, y de repente llega Susana y dices, qué bueno que ya llegó Susana, porque Susana es una ejecutiva eficaz, se sienta, abre sus papelitos, tiene una agenda, se toman las decisiones, en 15 minutos todo el mundo sabe lo que tiene que hacer, se acabó la junta y adiós. Que es bien distinto de cuando llega Panchito. Panchito llega tarde, trae desorganizados sus papeles, platica de lo que hizo el fin de semana, empieza a decir, bueno, sería bueno que estudiáramos esto, habría que formar un comité, luego habría que presentar los estudios del comité, y ¿por qué no agendamos las siguientes 3 juntas? A veces Panchito es un abogado, a veces. Pero hay gente que toma decisiones y las ejecuta, y hay gente que no toma decisiones y siempre platica. Y entender jerárquicamente en una organización dónde están las gentes y qué hacen es bien importante.
Thank you, Juan, for your ideas that will empower us to go further. We hope you're enjoying the show. We'll be right back after these messages with more Management Live. Welcome back. We're now glad to bring to the stage Hans Reitz, the founder and managing director of the Grameen Creative Lab. Hans has lived 7 years in India, where he's learned how to fight against the problems of poverty. His passion around creating better social businesses will entice you to understand how everyone can help change the world.
So business is the most dominant institutions of our time. Business is there where we really see the biggest hope to find the greatest solutions for the most pressing needs in our society. In my case, and hopefully you can share this with me, if you once turn over 40, if you once stay over 35, the family business people here know exactly what I'm talking now about this. I understood when I was 42, my job is just to open the gate for the next generation when they have an opportunity to be part of the society and be not excluded. This probably is the biggest beautiful power what we have in business. We are able to put away gatekeepers and give every next generation an opportunity to show the unbelievable creative power of every single individual on this planet. So the single person is a human race who is not a creator. We are not born just to be a job seeker. We are not born just to fulfill the job. We are people who are creators. We are artists, we are shapers, we are creators, and every single person have this beautiful power in themselves to create and to shape their own world with a joyful and with a beautiful way. And yes, at the moment, We are 7.5 billion people. We will rise to 9 billion people. Many people here in Mexico have less than $5, doesn't know how to have the food after tomorrow. Nobody in this room, up to the last row, will not think about what he can do for the people who really are excluded in our system. People who doesn't have a financial system, people who doesn't have a service, people who doesn't have an opportunity to fulfill their own life. I'm very sure if I would have now with each one an individual talk, everyone in this room will tell me a story what he wants to do for other people. We're very sure every one of you do with your business already a good job. You create jobs, you create communities. More than to create jobs is you create communities, small, micro communities. You give people a chance to be someone, you know? It's not only to give a job, it's really business is creating communities. Social business is using all your excellence of business, going and look in one problem, like malnutrition for children, and how we can solve this problem. And then we use all our trained talents, what we have, our discipline, our will, our never give up mentality, our power to adapt and have the ability to adapt to new situation, and we solve these problems.
Hans really knows how to make us understand that we all have an opportunity to start running social businesses to create a better world. Coming up next, he is president at Coca-Cola Mexico, a brand where leaders understand the importance that business plays in making lives better. He's dedicated to helping create a more sustainable world where business and government work together to fight against poverty. Welcome to our stage, Francisco Crespo.
¿Qué es la democracia planetaria? ¿De qué manera resolvemos la soberanía y la representación conforme empezamos a tratar de entender que vivimos en una aldea global? ¿De qué forma satisfacemos las causas sociales sin afectar las generaciones futuras? Pero particularmente hay una tensión que a mí me preocupa sobremanera y desde la que quisiera hablar, que es esta realidad cada día más clara de que estamos creciendo más rápido de lo que somos capaces de incluir a gente en el sistema, de que estamos creciendo más rápido de lo que somos capaces de redistribuir, de que este fenómeno, esta creación destructiva, este motor que ayuda, mucha gente dice que de manera eficiente, yo creo que sobre todo de manera efectiva, a que los recursos sean destinados a los proyectos que funcionan, tiene la consecuencia de resolver problemas humanos más rápidamente, y eso es progreso y ha sido maravilloso. Pero en el camino quedan mucha gente con habilidades obsoletas. Y yo estoy convencido de que esta crisis financiera que vivimos en el 2008 se nos ha empezado a confundir con una transformación más profunda en el paradigma económico, una transformación en la cual las cosas se han acelerado dramáticamente, y si antes en la vida productiva de un ser humano tal vez había una o dos veces que había una disrupción y que había que aprender y dejar una industria para dedicarse a una nueva, ahora cada 5 o 7 años sucede eso. Y no estamos logrando absorber y reentrenar a esa gente para ubicarse en sectores más productivos. Lo que yo entiendo que esto ha hecho es ha provocado que el sistema político tenga que salir a actuar por las razones éticas y morales que hay detrás de que gente quede desplazada, pero también por reducir la inestabilidad que este fenómeno produce y por lo tanto ese crecimiento del proteccionismo y de la xenofobia. En muchos países veo que estamos subsidiando, lo cual incluye a la gente desde el punto de vista de su vida, del estándar de vida, de lo que puede adquirir y comprar, pero a veces no pone o no ayuda, o no salta, o no resuelve el que se incorpore al sistema productivo. Casi que tenemos un tren que avanza a toda velocidad con la tecnología, con toda esta creación y destrucción, resolviendo más y de mejor manera los problemas humanos, y un grupo de gente que va quedando al margen, que recibe algún tipo de subsidio y que de esa forma por lo menos mejora su estándar de vida, lo que es grandioso, pero no está incorporada. Yo creo que la educación es fundamental. La educación ciertamente tiene que inspirar a nuestros adolescentes a querer hacer algo digno de su mejor ser. Tiene que inspirarlos a que ellos quieran dejar su huella en el mundo, a que quieran hacer algo. Pero también tiene que orientar a nuestros jóvenes, tiene que orientarlos a cuál es la mejor manera de incorporarse a ese tren. Porque no todos podemos tener un PhD para terminar con ese doctorado manejando un taxi. Pero lo tercero, y lo que creo que en el sistema de educación no tenemos lo suficiente, es tenemos que reentrenar mucho más rápidamente a toda esa gente que es desplazada porque estaban en una industria que deja de servir y tiene que aprender habilidades nuevas. Esto es lo que yo creo es el verdadero crecimiento con inclusión. Y hasta aquí mis pensamientos. ¿Por qué es que yo creo que esto es importante? Como dicen, so what? Yo creo que es hiperrelevante porque no hay forma de que el sistema político resuelva esto solo. Este es un problema demasiado profundo y demasiado grande y tenemos todos que ayudar desde lo que nosotros hacemos a que haya crecimiento con inclusión. Al lado de la mano invisible que desata esa fuerza creativa y que asigna esa eficiencia en los recursos, tiene que haber esa mano visible del buen gobierno de las empresas.
We hope you've enjoyed Francisco's presentation. Coming up right after these messages, Steven Levitt and one of his amazing and freakish stories. We're coming to the end of the show, but before we wrap up, let's invite Steven Levitt up to the stage for one last presentation. He's the author of Freakonomics and Super Freakonomics, and he's here to make you challenge your conventional thinking and to open up new doors for better innovative solutions to the most basic problems. Don't miss this amazing and super freaky story.
The happiest day in the history of our little consulting firm, we got, like 20 people, 30 people working there. It wasn't when one of the biggest companies in America hired us, although that's part of the story. We did get hired by one of the biggest companies in America, a big fast food restaurant. Okay? And it was an amazing coup for us, this little 20-person firm, to be consulting with this big firm. Okay? And basically the CEO said, you can look at whatever you want, figure out where you think you can add the greatest value, and work on that. So I started with pricing, because I think setting prices is often the hardest thing businesses do. And we went to the people who set prices for this restaurant chain, and we asked them how they did it. Okay? And they said, well, we don't actually set our own prices. We hired other people to set our prices, which I thought was absolutely crazy. This incredibly big firm gives away the decision about pricing. And I said, okay. Well, they said, but we'll give you the data. You can look at it if you want. And so we looked at their data, and we found one really interesting thing in their data. Okay, this really interesting thing is that they have, like most fast food restaurants, they have like kids menu, and then they have like a value menu, like a set of stuff that's really cheap. And what we found is that at the stores, at the outlets where lots of people bought kids meals, it seemed like people weren't price sensitive in general to changing the prices. Okay? But where lots of people bought the cheap menu stuff, even when you change the prices of other goods on the menu, people were more responsive, right? So I don't want to get into technical terms like price elasticity or whatnot, but basically what it looked like was on average they were charging the exact same price in these two sets of restaurants, but it looked to us that they could dramatically increase their profits if they started charging higher prices in the restaurants where people bought lots of kids' meals and lower prices in the other ones. Okay? And so we proposed a really simple experiment. I'm a big believer in randomized experiments. I think it's really the most powerful way to learn whether something's true or not. I said, well, take maybe 50 stores And in 25 of them, we'll randomly, we'll take 50 stores where people buy a lot of the kids' meals. And in 25 of those, we'll randomly choose them and raise prices. And then we'll take 50 stores where people buy lots of the cheap value meals, and in 25 of those, we'll randomly lower the prices. And then we'll have a treatment group and a control group, and we'll just wait 3 months, and we'll be able to tell you how much money you could make. And I was kind of amazed that the guy in charge of pricing said, I'm not really interested in doing that. I said, but why not? There's no risk. You've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of stores, even thousands of stores. To change prices in 25 of them, it's like no big deal at all. He said, no, I'm just happy with the way we're pricing right now. The problem was that he had hired this third-party consultant and had been paying them a lot of money for a lot of years to set prices. And I think he was nervous that we would actually find out they hadn't been doing a good job. And he was more worried about the CEO finding out they'd been making a mistake than actually getting the prices right. Okay, so we gave up on pricing and we went to human resources. And so at this same firm, they hire a lot of people, like maybe as many as 1 million people a year. And they have a test that they give to everybody who applies to the company, where they ask them a bunch of questions to see, to try to screen out who's good and who's bad. So I sat down with the people in human resources and I said, well, what questions are most predictive of how people do on the job? And they said, what do you mean? What, like when you look at people you hire and how well they do, who gets promoted, how long they stay at the firm, what questions are the best ones? And she said, I have no idea. We've never tried to compare the answers people gave on this test before we hire them to how they do on the job. And I was completely dumbfounded. Okay, this is what I'm talking about like seeing the obvious, right? So they're paying me a ton of money as a consultant, and my advice to them is, well, if you give a test before you hire people, and it's supposed to predict how people do on the job, wouldn't it make sense to actually look and see whether the test works and how you might actually have a different test or different answers to the question that would be better? And she looked at me and said, no, that's too hard. We don't really want to do that. We think what we're doing is fine. Okay. So this was about how this consulting engagement was going. No matter what we looked at, we offered the simplest possible ideas that I think are so obvious that anyone in the room would agree it makes sense to look at them. And when we tried to do the return on investment calculations, it looked like the return on investment of hiring us to do these little things were like 20 to 1, 50 to 1, 100 times, huge. So there finally was something this firm actually wanted me to do. Okay? Someone called me up and said, we're having a meeting of the top 70 executives of the entire firm globally. Would you be willing to fly to that meeting and speak about, give a speech? And I said, sure, I'd be happy to do that. But I have two kinds of speeches I could give him. I could give a totally content-free speech where we go blah, blah, blah about John Szilagyi and drug dealers and stuff like that. Or I could actually talk about what it's been like to work with your firm, and tell you like how I think you could be better. And, because I don't usually get to talk to the top 70 people. And they said, of course we want you to talk about the firm, and we're thick-skinned. You tell us exactly anything you want. So I flew to this meeting. I got up in front of the people, and I spoke. And the room was quite quiet most of the way. And they said, thank you very much. And I went back to my office. And the people in my office, the workers, said, what did you say? And I said, I told them the absolute truth. I more or less described stories like I just told you today of how I thought their company wasn't working well because they were resistant to obvious ideas because it wasn't what they'd already done. And the people at my firm, they said, you did not. There's no way that you went and told this company, one of the, our biggest client, our most important client, that they're terrible and not making the right decisions. And I said, I absolutely did. And they said, you did not, but whatever, it's fine. So the next day, I got an email, and it said, your contract with our company, it was from the company I was spoken to, is canceled as of today. There will be no more interactions with our firm. And we were fired. We were fired because they didn't want to hear. The people in the middle didn't want to hear advice, and the people at the top hated hearing that their company wasn't the best company in the world. Okay? And that turned out to be the single best day in the history of my little consulting firm, because I sent the email around to everyone in my firm, and I said, look, we just got great news. We got great news that this company doesn't want to work with us, okay? And how better, what could be better, right? Because the reason we started this firm is because we wanted to work on interesting problems and we wanted to make a difference, okay? We don't mind making money along the way. We're always happy to make money. That's why we charge such high rates. But there are plenty of people we can charge high rates to, and maybe they'll actually listen to us. And we actually literally got out champagne and we celebrated the fact that we've been fired by one of the biggest companies in the world.